Looking at your IMDb, it shows that you are, like you said, kind of this one-man band. So you writer, director, producer, editor, cinematographer, visual effects, camera. Looking back, do you wish you had spent more time just kind of focused on being a writer, or was that a natural evolution that you needed to find what you really loved, the actual activity of?
Most of that, and again, this is, I have an interesting sort of like parable that I do feel like relates to that. So everyone bear with me for a second. So when I graduated SC, I did a big thesis film, and like I raised money, and I tried to like do a big sort of like coming out sort of party. It failed abysmally. Like,
oh, no.
it's fine, but it literally led to like nothing, like no opportunities. I owed like a bunch of money, and basically, like I had two choices then, which was, well, I can't ask anyone for any more favors. I can't ask anyone for more money. So either I don't make anything anymore, or I start taking it upon myself to teach myself all these sort of like trades, at least in a way to be competent at them, so I can keep making things. And so that's basically where that all came from, was I wanted to keep making stuff because I said, oh, this thing that I tried a big shot at, like, collapsed. I like it, but again, it did not do anything from a professional career perspective. But I want to keep having chances, and I want to keep trying. So I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to practice, like, cinematography, and I'm going to have to become like an editor, and I'm going to have to do all these things. Otherwise, I just kind of like, I'm not going to be able to keep making things. And that really sort of interestingly led me down the direction of YouTube and digital, because then I could one-man band like shows or pilots. And that I made a pilot for a series that I thought was really awesome, and that got pitched to, and I did everything myself. It got pitched to a really big digital company at the time called Maker Studios. And the executive who hired me was like, I don't know what to do with this particular show, but would you come on and do this for another show here? And the other thing about myself is anytime I've been struggling, like financially, like it's difficult to pay the rent, or I'm too, like my day job is too sort of like engrossing, like that I can't focus on my own sort of creative pursuits. I knew fairly early on that I needed to find a very specific sort of situation that allowed for enough stability, but also enough freedom that I could keep pursuing the things that I was passionate about. And so in this very weird roundabout way, teaching myself to one-man band a digital series then led to my employment doing that, so that then I had enough sort of like freedom and mental space that I could come home and I could write, or I could write on the weekend. And I wasn't like, because previous to that, like I'm doing like all sorts of just really like odd jobs and random things. But that I couldn't concentrate because I was too stressed. And so yes, so basically in this very weird way, teaching myself all those crafts, and then being able to apply them on digital shows allowed me the freedom to keep writing. So again, it's a very sort of roundabout way that worked for me, but I forget exactly what my thesis is, but it was probably something along the lines of like, figure out what works for you and understand that it's never probably going to be the sort of the paint by numbers situation, I guess.
Can we go back to the party and the film, I guess? So you did this thesis film at SC, and then you threw sort of an event, like a screening, or?
Oh, I meant coming out party like in the debutante way, but yes, I did have I did have a screening.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, but I'd love to hear more about it. Just because I'm just curious, what was the goal? You were hoping that maybe prospective employers would find out and you would then land a job.
Yeah, well, that is a little bit of the other problem, right? Is I think that when you're young, you can even have talent and you can have ambition and you can have all sorts of positive qualities, but you also don't really know how the whole system works real well. And I think that, like now, like I have I've been gearing up like other sort of like independent projects, right? Like to do with like, producers I know or talent and that sort of thing. And a lot of people I know have been sort of like putting pressure on me for a long time to do something like that again. And my thought has always been not until I feel like the dominoes are set up correctly. And I'm going to be a little bit more risk adverse than in that way than other people. But to me, that's also what I kind of learned from doing it like when I was young and going like, well, again, time, energy, money, and I didn't really know what happened after that. I'm sure I had like vague notions of like, someone will like give me an opportunity. Excuse me. But you have to be a lot more specific. You have to have like a strategy and a plan if you're going to go down that route. And so again, to me, it's important to fail because that's how you learn. And then hopefully you can take those lessons and then you can apply them later on in a situation where you go like, oh, okay, now I have a much better sense about how this is all supposed to go down to give me the best chance at being successful or giving this project the best chance to be successful.
Was it really a failure or just that you had such high expectations for it?
I do think that, again, for something to be the most successful version of itself, it's obviously fulfilling goals that you hoped it fulfilled. And in this case, that movie did not fulfill said goals. But again, from the point of view of just having the experience and doing it and learning everything you do like through that is also invaluable. Obviously. Like that, it's a very sort of like trite cliche thing to like sort of say, but you do need to learn by doing. Especially in this sort of situation. I do think that however you can mitigate your risk, like the most that you can, because again, in this world, mistakes are expensive. Usually. Not always, but even small projects, you lose like money when they don't do whatever you were expecting them to do. Again, I think that it's very important to try to create a scenario in which you can keep trying. I feel like if I had ever been in a situation in which my one shot failed, then I'm sure I would have never had any opportunity to achieve any sort of level of success, whatever that means. Because it takes a lot of tries, and it takes a lot of failures. And so then I think the question really is for any individual, how do I create a scenario in which I'm allowed to do that? Because that is hard, right? For me, I've always been very lucky because I have a lot of friends who are very talented actors, and because they were talented actors, and we have a very good relationship, and they trust me to do what I do, that then they would always be willing to put their money into projects so we could keep doing stuff together, Or again, I would also then at the same time be going literally on YouTube and watching Video Copilot. I don't even know if Video Copilot's still around. They probably are. There's something like it. And learning how to do special effects and learning how to be a better, again, I'm not a great DP by any means, but at least competent. Because that's available to you. And then again, whatever situation allows you to keep taking chances. Because it's a batting average thing. You know, if you're only up at bat once, yeah, maybe you hit it, but you're probably not going to. That's just the reality. So it's how do you like figure out how to keep having chances at bat? However, like whatever that means to you, I guess.
And once you realized this was quote unquote a failure in your eyes, maybe not to other people, what did you then start doing to say, okay, well, maybe it wasn't my one shot and now I have to try it another way?
I think that to me, one thing that experience taught me was to be a lot more I'll be a lot more interested in this sort of idea of film as a business. And this idea, like, because my thesis was very wacky, right? It's very odd, like, it did not fit neatly into any box. And I think there was a couple sort of issues, and I think that was one issue, because it was sort of like, well, this is probably too strange, like, for the industry, like, for the average person, like, looking to do business with you. Where does this go? It did not neatly fit into any sort of, like, box. And again, there are individuals who, like, come out of the gate with something, like, really unique and avant-garde and pushing the boundary and all sorts of these things, and they are rewarded for it. It's important for everyone to sort of realize that that's not everyone. Like, there is, like, obviously everyone wants things that are new and exciting, and they want the new, like, and everyone wants to know what the new cool flavor is and what is, like, going to get people, like, excited to go see this movie. But there is this very real business aspect to it that if you sort of ignore that, you kind of do that at your own, like, peril. And I think the other thing that I thought going into it was you do something like a short for an opportunity just to be hired to do something. And again, that does happen. But I do think that if I were to do it again, I would have been a lot more sort of specific about, like, you know, things that seem obvious now, where it's like you do a short that is from a feature that you've also already written, and that feature is marketable, right? Like, or like that sort of idea. Like, what are the very specific concrete steps that this project is a part of, again, trying to feed into the idea of it's an industry and a business, versus looking at it as like someone wanting to say, oh, we're just going to pick you out because you're so talented. And again, that does happen for people, but it doesn't happen for everyone. And then the question ultimately becomes, okay, if that didn't happen for me, then, like, what can I do to keep sort of, like, trying?